Today on Aging Untold, shifting into a more intentional life.
Well, I think the body is not just aging. The brain is really reprioritizing what truly matters.
We'll look at why your 70s can bring a deeper sense of purpose and meaning, and how to make the most of that season. Plus, when your gut slows down.
There's a lot of different causes.
We'll talk about how that change can affect your body and share simple ways to get relief. And the key to calm.
People come up to us often and say, just with all the lines and all the hassle, it's soothing and it's so nice.
How musicians are striking the right chord in an unlikely place. Experts with advice and solutions. You're watching Aging Untold with Aging Well coach Catherine Ambrose, gerontologist Sam Craddock, aging expert Amy O'Rourke, and board-certified physician Dr. Ray Rogers. We're all getting older. It's about time we talked about it.
Welcome to Aging Untold. As we move into our 70s, something changes. It's not just about wrinkles or lab results. Some say their priorities shift. Time feels more precious, energy more protected, and life becomes more about peace, purpose, and the people they love. So let's start there, Dr. Ray. What changes have you seen in people who hit that phase of life?
Well, I think the body is not just aging. The brain is really reprioritizing what truly matters. That's really what's going on. And I think if you look at it, I like to look at things like, what is that brain doing? You know, the brain is saying, hey, I'm going to shift from expansion to efficiency. So I'm not going to be chasing everything. I'm going to be really selective and choose what truly matters. You know, and then I'm less reactive to stress. I'm going to be more drawn towards peace. And then I don't have the energy. At a cellular level, my energy is more limited. So I'm just going to be selective.
I've been around people at this age and I really love it. I see them asked to do something and they just say no. Would you like to be on this board? No. And I find that very refreshing. And the closer I get to that age, I think I'm asking myself, where can I most contribute? What is my intellectual capital, if you will? Where do I want to dedicate it? I was reading this article, Jane Trombley wrote it in the Medium, and she said 70s is the most influential decade. And I really understand why. What I would hope I wouldn't do is be in the middle of a bunch of young people doing something and then start acting like, you know, I'm 70 and I know everything. You know, there's a way to kind of go in and share your information without discounting others who are younger.
Right. I think you no longer have to prove anything.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of our time and a lot of our life trying to prove things, improve our value, improve our worth. And by the time you've reached 70, you've either achieved the pinnacle of success or you've given up on it. One of the two. You're not trying to prove it anymore.
Okay, maybe. But I'm going to say that I know a lot of people in their 70s that they are still so excited about new things they want to do and improve. They're writing books, they're running companies, they're starting new businesses.
They reprioritize what truly matters.
True. So they're really designing life the way they want it to be, and that's kind of what the show's all about.
But they're not chasing everything, they're choosing.
They're not trying to prove to someone else either. They're living life for themselves now. And that's where there's so much freedom in this generation.
I love the freedom and the clarity, and I've had a number of women, in fact, say there was just something about turning 70 and I just feel so free. It's just like all that kind of overwhelm or pressure, stress, feeling judged is gone.
Yeah.
And that's so cool.
And they're doing what they really wanted to do all along.
Right.
That maybe they couldn't do before.
Right.
I kind of look at this like it's the real living will. You know, it's like, it's really the legacy I'm giving my family. I saw this young person say to his mother, you know, and she was an older mother, which I think there's a lot of merit to being an older mother. And he was saying, I love watching you learn new things. It just, every day, it seems like you do things that'll help you grow. And I thought, that is like the most supreme compliment. And she's, you know, getting on up there too, but she's challenging herself, like you were saying earlier, Catherine.
Well, it's also the most supreme inspiration for others, because people are very inspired by that and think, oh, well, that makes 70s look good. And it might not be 70, but as you mature, you start thinking that time is a little more precious. I'm going to be more selective. What am I going to do with this one wild, precious life that I have.
Yeah.
Right. It's that decade, though, where you're just able to finally, in many ways, a lot of people get to live life for themselves for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And you know, there are a lot that are in the caregiving mode, but that decade right there is the one where you really look for the meaningful and the peaceful and the purposeful things to do, and you're no longer just trying to make a living and trying to support other people.
I think part of it is the fact that at that point in time, you realize you have less in front of you than behind
Yep,
you.
absolutely.
So now, whatever decisions you make,
Right, your
Really important.
mortality's in front of you now.
Yeah. And if you do start thinking about, you know, what is left for me to do, what can I be excited about? That's the healthiest way to live. And they say there's a reason why the windshield is much bigger than the rear view mirror, because if you get focused on only what's behind you, that really kind of closes so much and dims life. And so if you can keep forward looking, that's the way to go.
Right, I absolutely agree that you've got to kind of keep going. Even though you see mortality, you see that there is an end, we live life every day until our final sunset. Too many people start to just exist. And that's when I see so many issues with aging, is when the living stops and the existing begins.
Still ahead,
Having more frequent meals is not necessarily going to help you lose weight.
we'll break down what the science says about the number of meals you eat and what matters most for results. But first, when your digestion slows down, it can throw off a lot more than your schedule.
when you have constipation, that's your body's way of telling you something's off.
We'll take a closer look at what your gut may be telling you and what can help. Find more Aging Untold content on your favorite social platform. You can follow Aging Untold on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok now.
Constipation may be one of those issues that rarely gets discussed openly, but it affects many of us regularly. About 16 out of 100 adults struggle with it, and that number jumps to about 33 out of 100 for people over 60. It's not just uncomfortable, it can affect how you feel, think, and function day to day. So Sam, what causes constipation and how do you start to address it?
So constipation can be many different reasons. One thing, and I point it out a lot, is people think adding fiber, especially our AIDS community, they think, oh, fiber, fiber, fiber. Guess what? Fiber can be constipating. Too much is not good. But dehydration's a big one. And then our intestines, our gut slows down as we age, so the digestive process doesn't work quite as well. And so those muscles also change up. But there's a lot of different causes. It's getting to what's causing yours. Medication, especially pain meds, are a big factor. And so finding out what's causing it and then coming back and trying to correct it.
Yeah, because when you have constipation, that's your body's way of telling you something's off.
Yep.
So then you have to start looking. So you're right. You take a lot of fiber and not enough water, and guess what's going to happen? The two together.
That's right.
But then also, constipation is more problematic and causes more problems than people realize, because when that stool is retention of stool there, you're evacuating water, so now you're getting more dehydrated, and then you're recirculating toxins.
That's
and
right.
those recirculating of the toxins is what makes people feel brain fog and
That's
bloated.
right,
and all that.
confusion.
So that's how we get rid of our toxins. We either pee it out, poop it out, sweat it out. But bowel movements are a major way of getting rid of toxins.
Yeah. Caregiving, every caregiver needs to know how important bowel movements are, what they look like, what they literally, the colors, the textures, all of those things. And diarrhea is actually a sign of constipation.
Right.
Yeah.
Where I see it really be problematic is in the facility setting, like nursing homes, assisted living. It's like the statistics are staggering. So if you do have someone in a facility, I would want you to meet with the nurse director. I'd want you to meet with the staff, with a registered dietitian, to see how are they tracking the bowel movements, what are they doing if they're getting too many laxatives. And I was reading some articles in the American Academy of Neurology about the correlation of increased laxative use and dementia. So I really felt motivated to get this information out to people to take action in the communities with the powers that be to get back on track to regular bowel movements.
I think one reason you see it so much in the facilities is that movement is a big part of getting bowels to move.
Yeah.
Movement is a huge part. And so that whole system starts to slow down, you know, the vagus nerve and all that. And the other thing is, if your body is in a stress, if you're stressed, that's in that fight or flight. If the tiger is chasing you, you're not going to sit down to eat or go to the restroom.
No.
Right.
So that same thing, you shift into this survivor mode.
Yeah.
So you have to always get us back into that safety mode.
Interesting.
So that you can.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know
Right.
travel can affect that too.
Oh,
for people.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Any kind of change of routine. I had a friend that I used to travel with all the time for business, and she would say, well, I think I'm going to have my lucky moment. I thought that was so funny. And I think about that all the time. But I also think there's this thing about your lucky moment should just be one time a day.
No. So if you only eat one time a day, then okay.
Right.
But what goes in must come out. But in addition to what you're eating, the other thing is you eat carbs, you eat fat, you eat protein. Your body's using that for energy. Right?
Right.
But it has to have these byproducts as a result of that. So you're creating all these toxins. So you have to get those out as well. So it's going to be even more than just the number of meals. You have these other processes. And then if you're inflamed, your gut is your second brain. So if your gut is inflamed, guess what? Your brain's inflamed. Because that vagus nerve is connecting everything.
Interesting.
And that might not be something that people hear very often from their general practitioner. And
Because we think everything is compartmentalized. The body is not like that.
It's not.
It's not
And
like
so,
that.
you know, a warm cup of coffee in the morning is usually a really good mover. And if you're not a coffee drinker, any kind of warm beverage can get that gut moving again. Making sure that you up your fluid intake. I'm not a fan of laxative use because it slows that muscle process down.
Yeah.
But movement, exercise.
Exercise.
Blood flow and all that, that gets people going.
And if they're in a community, there's an activities program, there's an activities director, there's a wellness director, there's a restorative program. So take advantage of those to get the body moving. If the person's confined to a wheelchair, use those internal activities programs and rehabilitation programs to get them moving.
Coming up, calm in the terminals.
You'll get a lot of families, especially young families with kids, that are really kind of mesmerized by the music.
How live music gives passengers a few peaceful moments. But first, we'll explore why eating more frequently doesn't boost your metabolism.
welcome back. 3 square meals versus multiple smaller meals a day. If you think there's a guaranteed number that gets you to your weight loss goals, think again. Reporter Viv Williams reveals that magic number might actually be a myth.
Weight loss can be a real head game. You have to commit and stay focused. But if your focus morphs into a fixation with food, the success of the plan may be more of a myth than a successful weight loss strategy.
The 5 to 6 small meals a day for weight loss is definitely a myth.
Dr. Anna Beth Bradley, an endocrinologist at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, says the diet may work for some people, but
When people eat the same calories, the same macronutrients, and 3 balanced meals versus 5 to 6 small meals a day, the weight loss is about the same or more, and that's because eating more frequently actually drives hunger and the desire to eat.
Plus, Bradley says eating 5 or 6 small meals a day is not a metabolism booster. It won't make you burn more calories.
The metabolic rate's in the same as people that have 3 balanced meals versus 5 to 6 small meals a day.
Bradley says eating smaller meals throughout the day gain popularity for reasons such as preventing blood sugar dips or spikes and keeping energy levels high.
I think either strategy can work for weight loss, but having more frequent meals is not necessarily going to help you lose weight.
It really depends on what works best for you.
I was thinking during that, I want a refund, like a refund on all the bad advice we've heard, butter versus margarine and all the different things. What?
I know. I think, I want to hear from Dr. Ray.
I mean, we used to think that you kept your metabolism going by eating, but really, what's the purpose of eating? You should eat when you're hungry. And when you're hungry, your body's saying, I need energy, okay? So every time you eat, you'll get an insulin spike, because you have to utilize that food for energy. So if you start eating frequently, you're gonna have a whole bunch of insulin spikes, and that's what's gonna make you cause to gain weight, because that's what insulin does.
That's right.
If you have high insulin, it stores fat. So if your insulin is high, I don't care what you do, you can drink water every day. You're not gonna lose weight, you're gonna store fat, because that's what it's telling your body to do.
It's so confusing. And then, a lot of people today eat once a day.
Intermittent fasting.
That's why intermittent fasting is so huge, because you're giving insulin a rest.
That's
and
right.
You're letting your body reset. And again, you need to eat when you're hungry. You know, people need to eat when they're hungry. We have to get away from this eating, I'm nervous and all that. We have to get back to listening to
Getting
the
on a
body.
schedule and get away from having to clean your own plate. How many of you deal with that little, my mama made me clean my plate.
That's right.
And so it can be this big or it can be this big. It can be a meat platter in front of me, and my mind says I got to clean it.
And you go out to eat, and they give you so
the portion
much
sizes.
food. So stop being embarrassed about getting a leftover box to take it home, because it could be another 2 or 3 meals. I mean, stop it already.
And leftovers are great to have.
Yes.
So
And then
definitely.
eating slow, because
Eating slow.
eating slow,
Slow,
so
let
that
your
you
body
can
fill up
when you're
quicker.
full.
Yep.
Up next,
I'm leaving on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again.
we find unexpected harmony in a place well known for stress. You can watch Aging Untold anytime online. Go to aginguntold.com or subscribe to the Aging Untold YouTube channel for more.
At one airport, you'll find something rare, a little peace in the middle of the pandemonium. Bonnie Silkman takes us inside a Portland, Oregon terminal where live music is turning wait time into a joyful tune.
The typical sights and sounds of an airport may hold a different tune in Portland, Oregon. In the midst of the chaotic crowds and carry-ons, something may strike a chord.
People come up to us often and say, just with all the lines and all the hassle, all of that, just to hear the piano, it's soothing and it's so nice.
Paul Herman is one of 30 musicians who volunteers their time and their talent to bring a little peace to an unlikely place. Portland International Airport sets the stage for an always changing audience from all around the world.
It happened just after 9/11. They brought in a piano just to kind of ease passengers back into flying. And it started from there, and it's taken off, and now there's, I think, 25 or 30 of us that are part of the program here. Tell me that you wait for me.
It all started with just one piano. Now 5 of them are scattered throughout PDX. But this spot is Paul's favorite.
It's a sanctuary.
You'll often find him playing below the stunning new timber roof, alongside beautiful live trees, and on top of a familiar carpet.
You'll get a lot of families, especially young families with kids, that are really kind of mesmerized by the music. And you don't get that often out in other places. You do have to put up with some of that, but you just keep going.
But his favorite part of this gig is what he hears from you.
Just think about all the people traveling. Each one has a story, and some of those stories are like just heart-wrenching, really. Already I'm so lonesome I could cry. It's so fulfilling, really beyond anything else that I've done.
So hopefully, the next time you're navigating the airport, a little harmony can help change your tune.
I'm leaving on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again.
What a beautiful airport, first of all. Great idea.
Yeah, beautiful.
I would
Beautiful.
instantly feel happier and more at peace.
Right.
I'd have to be like really mad for that not to work on me because I love music.
I think Vegas needs to put that in.
Yeah.
Because I've been through that airport, and those people leaving are usually not in a great mood.
Well, but the other thing is, if you just think about what it does, what is music? It's just very relaxing.
It's very calm.
And
Yeah.
in the airport, everybody's hustle and
Everybody's in a
bustle and all
hurry.
that. So that is so great. I
Yeah.
mean, because that's resetting that whole parasympathetic. You
Yes.
Oh,
go
it
to the
is.
rest,
Yeah.
rest.
I have this video of a piano player in an airport. I don't remember where I was going,
Portland.
but I remember. Yeah, Portland. But I have that video, and every once in a while I watch it because it immediately,
It's very calming.
it just calmed me down. Not that I even think I was that hyped up, but it was so calming.
Right. I wish every airport would take this advice and they would put it in and then use the high school music programs and do some volunteer
Yeah.
programs that way. That was so cool.
Whoever came up with that and everyone that chimed in on it, that was brilliant. And we want more of it.
Yeah.
That's
You guys see the children. So that's a great way to get the children to
Calm down.
calm
Oh, yeah.
down.
Love
yeah.
it. Love it.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, we're all getting older, so it's about time we talked about it. Until next time on Aging Untold.
On the next Aging Untold, your doctor orders a long list of routine tests, and now you're wondering, what next?
You are a participant. So don't let them throw everything at you. There needs to be a why we're doing it.
We'll walk you through which tests to prioritize now and which can wait.